there are teachers or somebody who's in charge telling the female students that you're not here to entice the boys.
You're not here to entice the boys. That's what the teacher says to you.
Yeah.
And the response our team gave us was, if you're so concerned about what's happening back home, go get married. Why are you working here?
Ouch. I got a bit angry and I said, if I had a wife at home, I would have certainly come. It's like, what did you just say?
Yeah. Boys will be boys and they can get away with anything.
And they remain boys till they become boys will be
And they celebrate it.
I know my mom telling me, कितनी अच्छी लड़की है, मेरी सारी बातें मान लेती है. How obedient, how sweet.
Like, she's not too thin, she's not too fat, she's got that perfect image, that perfect body. And
If you're going swimming, one of our friends will not come because the swimsuit doesn't make her feel okay. There was the rating system of she needs to lose a little, she's not that curvy. I think she's a 7 out of 10. 11 years old in a school uniform, which is a shirt that's I think shoulder level and full pants, and I've gotten catcalled on the way home.
Hey everyone, this is ChetChat and you're with Chetna. Today on Women's Day, we're going to bring you a very special podcast where I have 3 amazing women, actually girls, starting from the age of class 11, going all the way up to an adult who's been working for several years with other women. And I wanted to bring this conversation to you. The intent is for us to start having more of these conversations, to talk about some of the issues that women are facing, so that once we start talking about it together, we overcome. So I'm going to wait for your comments, for you to tell me below in the comment section, did you relate to any of these issues? And if so, which are the ones, and what do you want us to talk about next? In today's episode, we're going to talk about stuff like body image, eating disorders, why we dress a certain way, the stereotypes that we face from school to adulthood. We're also going to be talking about their opinion on marriage and many, many other topics. So let me get straight away to introducing the 3 young ladies to you.
Okay, and as you can see, I've got 3 amazing women with me, amazing girls, young girls, ladies with me, and we're going to talk about all the problems that you face and probably they've gone through. And yeah, so let me quickly get to introducing them. We've got Mahira with us. Mahira has just recently graduated and she started to work. And we've got Arushi. Arushi is a school girl. She's in grade 11. And we have Nandita. Nandita is a leadership coach and she's in fact mentored a lot of senior women leaders over several years. And how about we get started first with school, because I know many of you are in school. So we talk to Arushi and ask her what are some of the challenges that Arushi is facing at school.
So I think one of the main things is about the dress code, where the rules for female students are very different from male students. Continuously, there are teachers or somebody who's in charge telling the female students that you're not here to entice the boys.
You're not here to entice the boys. That's what the teacher says to you.
Yeah, where continuously you're told to pull the length of your skirt down, do this, do that, hair, everything. And the main rule for the boys is just keep your hair short. So it's continuously, the females are just being, you're just telling the female students of like ages 15, 16, 17 that as if their job, their reason why they're at school is because they're here to entice the boys.
So you mean a 15-year-old girl who's innocently walking into school and the senior teacher looks at her and says, don't entice the boys.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to look very straight-faced about that.
Yeah, you can't.
Okay, miss.
You can't react to it because of course the teachers will have something to say back. You can't talk back. So continuously just have to listen to what's being said and take it in no matter how you feel about it.
And how do you feel? Like, do you care about enticing? I mean, how do you feel about this?
As a student going to school, I'm really there to just study. I have no other intentions. I don't even look at, someone's skirt length or anything of that sort in the sense to entice the boys. I don't think any of the female students are there to do so. Everyone's just there to study and get by.
Okay. This is a bit uncomfortable. I mean, just imagine being in school and your principal, I can't get over it. But Myra, talk about college. You've been in college, you started working now. So, let's move into that. Does things get better when you start working?
I mean, that's the hope. When you step out of school, you think that, you will be looked at a little differently. But I think you know, like my first few jobs itself, we just like approach the HR department because we have concerns. You tend to write an email or approach someone, and we were a group of 10 people who did, and we just said that can we have Saturdays off, you know, once in a month or twice in a month, because we're all students, we're 20-year-olds living alone in a new city, and you know, sometimes we have things to get done at home, or we need to like run an errand or do anything else. And the response our team gave us was, if you're so concerned about what's happening back home, go get married. Why are you working here?
Ouch.
So the point blank, there wasn't like a negotiation. It wasn't like, okay, we look at why you need it off. Do you want it just once in a month or take a half day? It was just, if your concern is that and it's not coming to work on a Saturday and putting in your 8 hours, then go get married.
Oh my God, go get married. I remember when I was in office, and we talked to Nandita and her experience as well. But I remember when I was in office and this happened, and on a Sunday, they said, we're having a golf event on Sunday, and let's all meet on Sunday morning. And we'd been working Monday through to Saturday, and I had a home and I had a baby. So the boss looked at me and said, 'cause everyone else was a boy except me. And so they said, oh Chetna, you won't be able to come, right, on a Sunday, so it's okay if you don't come. And you know, there's this whole office thing happening, and you suddenly start getting less and less connected. And then I got a bit angry and I said, if I had a wife at home, I would have certainly come. It's like, what did you just say?
Yeah.
They all have wives at home. They keep the house spanking clean and the babies are brought up. And you're made to feel guilty. But the boys have to do the same chores as you, don't they?
It's the same thing. So we approached them as a group of mixed boys and girls, because we were told, go get married if you're so concerned with it.
Oh God, okay. Nandita, do you have something to share about women? And you know, we're looking at what's happening in school, we're looking at, you know, college, working life and all of this.
So I think I've worked extensively with women leaders, young girls like Mahira, 2 senior leaders. And I think this does remain a common theme, where there are quick assumptions made, like in your story, a quick assumption was made that you would probably not be ready for something like this. And a decision has already been made on your part. I see them, you know, bending over backwards to prove. So what Chetna is willing to come on a Sunday, she's also willing to stay back. She's probably willing to come on a Saturday also, just so that she's seen as one among the boys or more accepted. And these quick assumptions are not made.
So tell me, Arushi, Mahira, tell me, school, college, have you all found like just people differentiating between girls and boys while you're there?
It is very common. So for a lot of the teachers, if I've made a mistake and so as a male student, a lot of the times I will be facing the consequences, and it's easier for them. Like, it's like, oh, he's probably doing this, he has sports. Again, the assumption being that he has sports and I don't.
Oh, okay.
So even if it's the same situation, it's seen very differently. The treatment towards female students is that you have to be proper, you have to be disciplined. And I agree with, you know, students being disciplined, but one gender of your students can't be. Either your boys and girls don't be disciplined, or you have the same rules for the boys as well.
Yeah, this thing about how girls should be all proper and boys will be boys.
Yeah.
It's all forgiven.
I think this is the craziest one. Boys will be boys. They can get away with anything.
And they remain boys till they become boys will be boys.
And they celebrate it.
I'm going to come back to you and ask you the exact same question, but I remembered an ad, a very famous TV ad recently, where this man is trying to say something to his wife and he forgets her name. And he's trying to remember her name, and it was so boys will be boys moment. But I'm saying, if they show a woman who forgets her husband's name, and it's not funny.
It's criminal. Far from funny.
But tell me about that differentiation, school, college.
I think we face it in school, and even with friends and people I know in colleges till date, you'll have that thing where the teachers will openly admit that, yeah, I favor the boys. Like grading or marks or how strict or how lenient they are. Like, you know, in that class you're not going to get above a B because you know that she only gives the A's to those few boys. You know that that's the way it is, but there's not much you can do when you're a student. You don't have that much power to stand up against a teacher and back answer or try to argue your way out of it. So that difference is there in school and college, I think.
And you feel that your intent is getting questioned? Like, I know when I joined an MBA school, I was shocked when a couple of people said that you're going to waste a seat because you know what, you're just going to go and get married and we're going to waste this MBA seat and the boy might as well have done an MBA. Do you find that your intent to study and pursue career itself is getting questioned?
To some extent it is, because they also don't think you're here for the long run. They don't think you plan to be here because you want to make your career, and that's what your primary focus is. It's more looked at that you've graduated, so you have to work for a couple of years. So she's here to finish those years before she decides to quit, and when she quits, her goal is to get married. Whereas it's not looked at that even if marriage is the thing that she plans for the next 2 years, working is something that she's keeping as a part of her life no matter what. So even when you're working and when you're the kind of roles you're given in office, I think this also comes in there. Like the boys' intent is to make their career, to take on the more serious roles where they're looked at for their merit, they're looked at for what their skill sets are. Where a girl's skill set sometimes is narrowed down to just, you're a girl, so use your looks, use your appearance, use the fact that you're a girl and be there.
Also just keep looking pretty.
Like if you're told to sell and you're told that you can do sales, you're a girl, you can do sales. Because the role of a salesperson is to have those interactions, is to talk to people, is to put yourself out there, present yourself.
Also, when you go for an interview, they actually say that, don't be in accounts, be in sales?
The sales is definitely where they hire more women. At least even when we're out of college and we have friends who've applied for the roles of, let's say, an analyst or let's say in marketing. But they were put into a sales team, and when they asked that, we got the job, we were told we'd be working as analysts, they'll be like, no, but we need girls on the sales team. Girls can sell.
And this cuts both ways. So when you get that job, I think then what you get to hear, unfortunately, is that, hey, you just got it because you're a girl. Yeah. Do you find that?
Yes, probably girls do make better salespeople. But is it just because of the looks, which is the only quality that is highlighted? Or are there other intrinsic qualities that we have as women? Our ability to possibly connect with the customer, establish rapport, just make them more comfortable. So there are so many other things that go in a pitch, but I don't know why all of that somewhere gets lost, it gets trivialized, and at the end of the day what we are talking about is how pretty is this girl, and hence when she comes back to the office with a success story, the credit goes to her looks than so many other skills that she also carries. It won't be surprising if all of you have either experienced it or met girls who are apologetic or guilty about dressing up, showing up in their glory.
Yeah.
I have so many clients who actually dress down.
Yes.
Because
Underplay.
They underplay.
Yeah.
Because they don't want people to talk only about their looks. They want people to focus on their presentation, the skills, the content. And the problem is not with them, and yet they are at the receiving end of the problem.
But that's so funny. You said that they overcompensate and they underplay, and that means you're constantly trying to be somebody else because you're not sure that who you are is just going to be accepted. So do you also sometimes, girls tell me, do you also feel sometimes that, just if you want to give an opinion in a conversation, do you feel that sometimes the girls would tend to say it very sweetly and softly so that the boys don't get offended because we've just given our opinion?
Yeah, I think maybe a few years back it was very much applicable to me as well because I was very nervous about how they're gonna take it. Let it even not be anything that's offensive. Any opinion that I give is just, are people gonna take it? Are the boys gonna take it well? Or anything of that sort. Now it's a little different, but I see people around me, women, girls my age, being a little afraid to say their opinions in public.
And using baby language. I've seen girls who, when they are in a difficult situation, they use baby language because they're so afraid that their grown-up voice will be misconstrued as being aggressive.
That's true.
The way they speak, the way they act, small, I think it comes out in smaller ways. It's not so much consciously them being shy or being coy about anything, but it's just small habits. You'll suddenly not want to speak as much. If you're sitting with a group of girls, you'll have 100 things to say and your conversation will keep going, but you get less chatty maybe, or the way you put it forward, you try to play it more diplomatic. You don't want to come off as I have this opinion and I'm going to push it out there.
Yeah, because it is so sad that an aggressive woman, is very easily people label aggressive very quickly. And then that is considered like the worst thing ever. You know? Like,
In fact, there is enough and more research that attributes specific behaviors, and when a man demonstrates those behaviors, the adjectives associated with him are firm, driven, assertive, inspiring, and the exact set of behaviors that a woman leader, when she demonstrates, she's called names. It is aggressive, it is pushy, it is very difficult to work with, controlling. She's stuck with a non-performer, and she's saying, "How do I call this out?" Because she doesn't want to offend the her team member. And I've never had a male leader worry about this. Non-performance is non-performance. I will call it out because that's my job. Here, just like you said, can I tone it down? How do I say it that it lands a little softly and doesn't hurt the person? Because somewhere it is difficult for men to accept strong women as leaders.
another thing I've often been told, and I'm going to ask the two of you this, is a lot of girls we mentor in office come and say that people just don't take us seriously. We say something, the man says the same thing, but we are never sort of, our opinion is just not considered on the same platform. Do you find that happening?
I think in small instances at work, like if you're sitting in like a group discussion, maybe sometimes your ideas aren't, I think, given the same chance or opportunity as another man's ideas. But I think it also depends on the environment and the setting that you're in. Like sometimes you do get a space. If you have a woman leader, it becomes much easier. You also feel more comfortable to voice your opinion because you know she's going to hear you out. But when it's probably led by a male and maybe your team has got fewer women and more men, then you do tend to, women also hold back and also your ideas aren't probably looked at in the same way.
And also, this is a conversation that can go on, but I know growing up, we were like rewarded for being, I know my mom telling me, कितनी अच्छी लड़की है, मेरी सारी बातें मान लेती है, how obedient, how sweet. And the moment we had to express our opinion, it was like, I don't even know how to do it. And so therefore everybody else probably became awkward because I became awkward. And then I thought it's best left. Don't do it, peace at any cost. But anyway, we've spoken a few things about this. There's another thing that interests me when I see Instagram is how do girls react? Because the image that we are showing of girls is a really Barbie dollish. And it's all over. So does it affect when you look at your friends? Do you find that it impacts them?
Yeah, so I think maybe not just myself, but my age group, my friends around me as well. Like they're not eating, everyone's out and they're not eating, and it's also just not the fact that they're not eating in front of the boys.
Oh.
So that gets a little concerning because sometimes a few of the friends will eat when everyone's there, and a few of the boys come in and then they stop eating, or they try to reduce it, or some of my friends in general just don't eat when they go out in public or when they're even at home. So that becomes very concerning. And then, as you said, on Instagram, you're seeing the skinniest people that there are, if possible. And you look at yourself in the mirror, and if you don't fit into that, it's a very insecure feeling. And I don't think a lot of people perhaps even consider it as a very big thing. But I think recently people are talking about it a lot, and eating disorders or something, that anorexia and everything is something that people are really openly speaking about.
Yeah. Do you find that, Myra?
I do. I mean, even with my friend circle, when we were in school, especially because in an all-girls school, you were constantly comparing yourself. You were comparing yourself to the person right next to you. Then you suddenly went out to a co-ed environment where now it wasn't just your opinion, but what the boys would think of the way you look that also mattered. And then with social media came like added pressure to look a certain way, or to post pictures which make you look in that way, which is not like, she's not too thin, she's not too fat, she's got that perfect image, that perfect body, and the kind of lens that people go to to get that, like not eating, like so you have like a march past practice and you have minimum 7 to 8 girls who faint every day. You've just come from home where like usually you have like you wake up and have a breakfast and you come to school, and you have girls who don't, like they won't eat any of their meals, they won't carry a tiffin to school because they don't want to eat lunch, and they just go about their day.
Oh my god, this is so worrisome. I mean, you're saying that it's like you have to be thin, and what if so? There must be some girl who's not being able to fit in. What happens? What does she go through?
So some people really have the confidence to, still be able to pull it off, and not fit into that standard. But it's very rare. A lot of people are continuously, a lot of my friends and people around me are continuously not doing certain things because they don't like how they look. Like if you're going swimming, one of our friends will not come because the swimsuit doesn't make her feel okay. And it's just, they'll miss out and they like keep themselves away from so many things that they actually want to do. Like there are activities, there's things, you want to experience things, but then they go ahead and not do that because they're scared of how they're gonna look, or how people are gonna make comments about their weight, she weighs too much or she weighs too less.
So do people make comments about weight?
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think at a school level, I've had, I've heard and I've also, been a part of a class and a space where there were boys that had group chats where they used to talk about girls and they used to rate them.
Oh.
There was the rating system of she needs to lose a little, she's not that curvy, I think she's a 7 on 10. So it's the mold that the society has made is just continuing, and it's going to grow more if this sort of behavior continues.
And I think it goes both ways. Like it's not even just girls who feel like they're extra weight. It's also for girls who are really thin. And I have for the longest time been told that, oh my god, you're so skinny, look at her, like she's like been called malnourished, being called looked down because I'm thin. And you also come growing up, you've heard people say that, oh, being thin is a good thing. You see Instagram and you somehow feel that. But now it's not the idea of being thin or being fat. It's like that image, that perfect image. Like she said, are you curvy enough? Do you have everything that a boy thinks makes you attractive?
And you get a 7 on 10 every time, no matter what is here, no matter who you are. It's just on the
looks.
statistics.
Purely on looks.
Did you know that Facebook was set up to rate girls? The original idea of Facebook
Yeah, I've heard of it.
was to rate girls. A platform where people could rate girls. That's the whole idea. Okay. But it goes back that far. And I'm shocked to know that it continues. And how? You're talking about 13, 14, 15-year-old boys who are rating girls?
I think it's just, like she said, social media and the image. Boys are also looking at that image. Boys are also being told that this is what the perfect girl is. This is what the kind of girl you should look for. And it's easy when you're in school and when you're in college to also feel that peer pressure, to get influenced very easily by the setting that you're in. Because even if you try to be confident, but you're surrounded by people who constantly make you feel like you shouldn't be that confident. It's not easy to always take a stand.
But do we have like a rating scale for boys? I mean, I don't mean it badly. I mean, like,
Do
are
people
they
do-
equally conscious about their body image or no? They're fine.
I think it's very subjective because I have seen a lot of women actually, like a lot of people say to boys also that he's not muscular enough, he's not tall enough. I think it applies to them as well, perhaps at a lesser degree maybe. But with the rating system and everything, I think it's more towards the women. I think the criteria to be perfect are way more fierce for the women. For the men, it's still, of course, it's present, but it's not as
I think looks is still a woman's domain largely, because that is all that is there to her. That is the biggest defining factor. And hence the pressure is obviously more on women. I feel very glad I was not a part of this generation and there was no Instagram for me growing up. But I think that doesn't absolve you and me also at some level to feel the pressure and the amount of surgeries and the amount of stuff women are doing just to kind of match up to those unreal standards.
Yeah.
So the amount of abuse the girls as young as 15, 16 are willing to put their bodies through just to look good. And the question in our minds is, who are we trying to look good to?
Yeah.
There's nobody out there really.
Yeah.
So we're trying to please a nobody, and it's an endless pit.
But you know, the thing with the rating thing is a lot of it happens on like group chats. I've heard it in person. People don't hold back because of social media. Like people have used very harsh language, like in front of you. They've said that, yeah, but you weigh too much. But yeah, you should need to lose a little. Like it's not even like people are trying to hide behind social media. Some people have the guts to say things at your face that shouldn't be said to anybody.
And that affects the way girls have started to dress, I feel, unfortunately. Again, inspired by Instagram, again, inspired by all these ideal. I find that we need to have uncomfortable dressing zone just because we're not confident that who we are and how we wear, what we wear. If we just walk out wearing a t-shirt and loungers, that it's going to be acceptable. That was different. Yeah.
I mean, I think so. It's also because, like, I think Auntie said, that it's about the image, right? Like, we're always looked at for our looks. So we are so conscious of the way we look all the time that we want to make sure that it's well looked at as that dainty, pretty girl. Like, you have that image. If you don't put in the effort, will you be looked at differently? Being called a tomboy is now also something that I think is taken in such a negative way. It's taken in the completely wrong context. The minute you're stepping out, or you're going to someone's house, or you're going out for a movie, you'll have some girls who feel the need to dress up not because they were dressing up for themselves, because they want to feel good by making sure that others look at them in that way.
Yeah. So we're talking about this pressure that's coming on us because we want to look a certain way. So the body is becoming thinner and thinner, and curvy and thinner and everything. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
And we've got this dressing which is becoming less and less conservative, so to speak. So you're stepping out like that. What happens to safety? What happens? Do you find people on the road, in bars, in public places, being awkward with the girls?
I think definitely. I mean, regardless of what you wear, sometimes you do feel that you still get looked at. But when you do dress less conservatively, or you do dress in a way which you know is going to catch a man's eye a lot easier, a lot faster, you are in a way putting yourself in that situation. And then it is uncomfortable. You do feel like suddenly you're being looked at, suddenly you're being watched. And the chances of it actually becoming a matter of safety, becoming a matter of, whether you should be out there like this. When you hear stories online, you hear stories in your own friend circles on a daily basis of cases that happen on the roads or in a bar or in a college. It could be anywhere. But it does put you at that risk.
Yeah. You've been to a college, you've been in that environment. So did you find cases getting reported or what?
So definitely, again, there are two sides. Like, some people would rather not report it. They're too scared to come out there and speak and say, because it's the very disgust of that it happening to you is something which is not easy to talk about. It's not easy for someone to make it something that's publicly known, because then people will ask questions. Then you are looked at, your character could be questioned. There are lots of things that come under the microscope. But I think it's becoming safer to talk about. Although cases are increasing, the good part is that it is becoming safer to talk about, because you do have harassment committees in place. Most colleges and office spaces as well. It's compulsory to have a committee which can review a case, which gives you a chance to actually say your side of things.
I think with the entire clothing thing, I have had very bad experiences despite, what I was wearing. I was 11 years old in a school uniform, which is a shirt that's I think shoulder level and full pants, and I've gotten catcalled on the way home. So the entire concept of people saying that what was she wearing, it really triggers me, because I think as an 11-year-old child, when you're going back home from school, you have no intention but to go home.
Exactly.
And then anytime you wear anything that's not the most conservative clothing, I have personally felt the imposter syndrome comes in, where I completely feel like this is not who I am, and I have to wear clothes that are 2 sizes bigger than mine to feel safe. And anything that even shows like even my knee length, anything of that sort makes me feel so uncomfortable, because I'm like, now people are going to categorize me in a different way.
Pressure. Too much pressure to look a certain way. And I think where is individual expression in all of this?
No, I've seen these little girls in school, those Model United Nations conferences. I've seen them wearing skirts which are too tight for them, shoes which are too high for them. They're not able to walk, but they're just trying to fit a certain, I don't know, image. And if left to themselves, I know they would want to chuck their shoes away and run in their sneakers, but
But isn't it sad? I mean, as women, we've always preferred vanity over comfort, and it used to be something that would happen or start in maybe 20s, and now this is down to a 10-year-old who would rather look pretty than be comfortable.
yeah. Okay, so I'm curious. What do you girls think about marriage, or what do your friends think about marriage?
90% of my friend group does not want to get married.
Does not want
Does
to get
not.
married.
So my personal opinions are very different. I want to get married and everything, but a lot of people don't. A lot of my female friends don't like the idea of marriage because of the difference in how men and women are treated in the marriage. Because there's more responsibilities and expectations for the wife compared to what the husband has to do or what he's expected to.
Is that how you find it also?
Definitely the same way, and I think it's also the whole choice that you feel like if you get married, you have looked at or heard situations where you feel more caged. You feel like marriage means not working, marriage means not doing other things, marriage means like the idea of a marriage is put in such a way that the woman is going to be at home. And most girls are just scared that that means that like you go, like I've heard of stories from people, friends or family who are older than me when like they go for a marriage proposal and how a prerequisite is, oh, the girl shouldn't be working or she should just do like a morning job, something for an hour or two.
Even in this day and age?
Even in this day and age. It's again because the girl's expected to put in those hours at home. And that's what I think scares most women, that you don't have that kind of space or freedom to then be yourself and do what you want to do after you get married. So it's better to just not get married.
So they want the degree, they want the lawyer, they want the doctor, but they wanted to work for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I thought this ended at some point. It doesn't end. But not wanting to get married, not wanting to have kids, not wanting to.
I think
What
it's
are
just
your
been
thoughts on
portrayed.
this?
It's been portrayed in a very different way to us. We've like seen it in such a way that now when we look at it as a concept, it just seems like it's something you don't want.
Yeah, and with kids, it's the entire concept of. I've seen mothers in public carry 2 children, and one a little older one on the side, and the father's just nowhere in sight, or he's doing something on his phone. Like I've seen it in public. So why would a woman actually want to have kids if in a marriage my husband's not going to do anything, he's not going to take care of the baby or any of that sort? Like why would someone want to first of all carry the baby for 9 months, give birth to it, and then no one's helping you? Someone who you've gotten married to for the rest of your life is not going to help you. Why would someone do it at this expense?
Voluntarily.
Yeah, in this situation.
And then have to give up your career,
Yeah.
possibly.
It's very interesting. I mean, while we were growing up, Chetna, the good girl syndrome that you spoke of, so we all suffered from that. We were trying so hard to fit in the mold. So a good mother, a dedicated wife, I mean, these were labels we kind of took very seriously, and we created a life so that we could honor these labels. First, women were trying to fit in the mold. Now women are running so fast to just break the mold or get away from the mold. But in the process, there is a mold you are running towards.
Either way, yeah.
Either way, and that mold is that fierce, independent, let me live for myself, I can't have any responsibility. There are compromises on both the sides.
So I hear you. You're saying stop trying to either live up to a label or break a label. Part of the responsibility is, I guess, ours. But then somewhere we got to stop putting the labels, because an 11-year-old girl to say, hey, don't bother about the label, it's a little difficult, right? You see labels and then you say, I am worrying about it. I am wanting to run away from it or try to fulfill it either way. I'm thinking somewhere the larger society should also become more cognizant, and one of the reasons we're having this conversation is because we've also got a lot of boys who are watching, and I'm hoping through this they sort of get more sensitive about putting those labels in the first place onto the girls. It's not only the boys, it's perhaps the mummies also. Perhaps it's women and men that put labels onto women. So maybe that should stop as well. But is there, final thoughts from the two of you on what the girls out there can do to be happier with all of this?
I think still with there being a mold, with some time, people do become themselves. Even if the world is telling you to dress up, do this, do that, people do get into that, and women tend to find what works for them. Even if you're at a period of time where nothing is working and it's so chaotic, within some time, people find who they want to be. And I'm very happy to see a lot of people not be what society tells them, be confident within that. You're not apologetic about not wearing, the most prettiest feminine clothes every day. Being who you want to be while being unapologetic and, still polite in a way about it.
I think it's just having these conversations or knowing that, with someone from school or someone or your mother or anyone could be experiencing the same thing in so many different ways. That experiences that maybe you all had when you all were growing up were different to us, but at the same time, they all come down to one thing, that the way women are and the way we are perceived in different settings. So I think just being able to talk and know that you can talk to anyone about it, knowing that having the conversation might actually help you realize that these things aren't important and that being yourself and finding who you actually want to be for yourself is what matters.
Yeah, so on that note, I think we've had a wonderful conversation. We could go on like this, as you can see. This will be the next few hours. We could go on like this. But I hope it helped you, and if it did, I'm waiting to hear your experiences, your ideas, what you've been through, your suggestions and solutions, and put all of them down in the chat section. Because you know what, everyone who's watching is also reading, and your comment could change someone's life. So thank you so much for this, and see you next Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.